Here we are back again at a Wall Street Journal market report. You know, it's a double-edged sword. Getting the newspaper every day provides so much information and so much great, updates on the economy and other things like that, but it also is a reminder of what has been, and it has been a hard week for a lot of folks. We obviously have the 24th anniversary of 9/11, and then on the 10th we had a horrific act of political violence. And the world spins, folks. The world keeps going. Seeds were planted on the 10th just like they were on September 11th, 2001. And those seeds created some beautiful moments. And so hopefully on the 10th, the seeds that were planted in that horrific event will find some fertile ground and take root and create some beautiful trees that bear fruit for just decades and decades to come, because there's no reason for the senseless acts that have brought us to a point like this, but we're here. What will we do? How do we respond? Obviously, we don't want any knee-jerk reactions. We want to be calculated, collected, logical, so that a progression of tragedy isn't what we find, but a resolution, a uniting of ourselves so that we focus on the things that unite us and not divide us. That's my 2 cents here, but we're here to talk about your silver and gold, your money, and what the markets have to say about it. Just a reminder, this video is sponsored by APMEX, the American Precious Metals Exchange. It is the best place when it comes to finding cool, unique silver pieces for your collection from around the world. I've never seen a place quite like it, which is why since 2019, when I started buying this beautiful stuff, I started there and have never wavered from that. APMEX has been my place to start my journey and collection every single month. And for some reason, they always have the exact types of things that I'm looking for and need, even sometimes when I don't know I need it. So that being said, check them out, see what they got, and, use my affiliate link. It's this QR code right here if you feel so inclined. It does benefit me, not necessarily financially, but they do see the weight of my platform and my viewers, and so it keeps our tradition of partnership alive and thriving. So I would appreciate it if you're going to shop there, if you go and look and find something there, that you use that link. But let's go ahead and get to why we're here. We like to look at our market report, which I have taken out and highlighted for you so that it's easier for you to understand. All right, we start as always with this Dow Jones Industrial. It was a pretty good week overall, folks. I know I didn't look at the markets once. I was pretty hyper-focused. I am in a sector of performance, and 9/11 is something that my team was always involved in performing for different events. And so I had a focus in hand and on mind. And then with all of the events that happened this week, I wasn't really paying attention much to. So I'm learning along with you with how we did this week. And as you see, 45,834. If you remember where we stopped last week, that's not far off. It does look like it, down 273 points, or really half a percentile. But our all-time high is only 1,000 here. So that being said, this right here and this right here, not too far off. In fact, as you can see, this week we still had an all-time high on 9/11 of all times. On 9/11, we were at 46,108, which is a couple hundred away. So that being said, this week we still hit an all-time high in the Dow Jones. It just wasn't on Friday. As you can see reflected here on Thursday, you see the big jump, and then it retracts just a bit. That's how these work. S&P, we're sitting at 65.84, down 3.18 points, or 0.05%. All-time high, 6587, which was also on 9/11 this Thursday. So this week we saw an all-time high on the S&P and the Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ right here The more volatile of them, 22,141, up 98 points. So it's the only market that ended higher on Friday. And yes, it's at an all-time high as well. So this one actually ended the week, which you see here, the 12th, on an all-time high. So fantastic stuff. The markets, man, they're just taking off. And we'll learn here shortly your metals are taking off as well. We'll get to that. But it's just, it does bring me a little bit of joy to see our markets not tumbling like so many other things in life seem to be in scattered disarray. All right, international stocks and indexes. This was a fairly quiet week overall. Everything good here, nothing out of the ordinary. Chile is down almost 2%. And we saw in the last couple of weeks that they were up and they were down, they're up, down. And all I'm noticing is how volatile Chile's market is. I was pro Chile market because it was just flying what seemed for a while, and then it started to do this number. And so maybe all I was seeing was a snapshot of their volatility. When we go to the Eurozone, everything in this area stayed pretty much within the range except for Switzerland, which dropped down just a little bit there at about 80%, or not 80%, 0.8%, which is close to 1%. Everything else was well within the guideposts, nothing crazy going on in the European markets. But in the Asian Pacific, we did see quite a bit of recovery from some and continuation from others, such as Hong Kong. Hong Kong, as you can see, still up 1.16, and that was 2 weeks in a row that we've seen giant jumps in Hong Kong. China was with them last week, but they're fairly neutral. Japan, right there, is also at almost a full percent. Very nice to see. South Korea, 1.5. Big things happening there. Love that. Taiwan, as you know, our semiconductor situation, anything that has to do with semiconductors, right now has to do with Taiwan because we're not producing them mass in the house yet. So therefore, 1% is happening there in Taiwan. So lots of just good things happening financially around the world this week. Hopefully that maintains course. But hey, that's where we are currently. We don't know necessarily what's on the horizon. As we learned this week, we can't predict everything. But boy, we can just try to respond to everything in a way that brings love and kindness and all of those things. So let's go ahead and check your money as far as silver and gold goes, because that's why we're here, right? Most of you are silver and gold folks, and that's okay. So 1 week with silver. Last week we saw an amazing week, and I could not believe this when I saw it, that we have another dollar and change, so $1.35 gained 3.29% this week. Can you believe we're at over $42, almost $42.50? And you see on this chart, it very much is looking like it has risen. And on September 11th, it stayed there and did not come back down. Very interesting thing there. US dollar, as you can see here, the dollar is fairly neutral overall. Silver destroyed it. We know that. And that has been such the case this year. When we go to that Dow Jones and S&P, which had a pretty dang good week, we also see that silver still did just a little bit better. So right now, silver is on top, but we do want to compare that against gold, as both are things that our viewers tend to love. And in gold, looky here, we are at $3,685. That's right. We're at almost 1.5% gained here on gold as well, $53.25. It's not quite the same chart as silver. As you see here, on September 8th, there was a large jump, and it basically stayed within that rail from the 8th, whereas silver was on September 11th. So that's interesting just in its own right. US dollar, we know gold outpaced the dollar. And if you notice here on the percentages, those are a little bit off here on the right because they forgot to input the the legend. So that where you see gold should be at 1.5, not plus 0%, because that doesn't make any sense. All right, now Dow Jones and S&P. Dow Jones and S&P both had great weeks, and in fact, they did beat gold which, that's fine because we want all forms of money to go up, and they have. But here's the winner, folks. We see that silver won the week, but I want to go to year to date just to once again give you a snapshot of where we have been. Silver, up $13 this year, 45%. Can you believe it? 45% this year. Can you imagine if your stock portfolio did that? That is just outstanding. So I know it's crazy, and I, as a buyer, I hate this too, because that means I'm having to pay more every month, and whatever. But it is just a historic thing, and I know for a lot of you it validates the things you've been saying for a long time, and for many of you, you think this is just the beginning, folks. I'm not sure if I'm on that train yet, but hey, I don't care. I've got a ticket and I'm riding it, so whatever. Here's gold year to date, 38.6. We've seen $1,000 rise in gold as of yet. So it's just been a crazy ride, guys. Crazy ride. And hey, there's no time that's too soon or too late to get a ticket and get on that train. Just enjoy the view. Get a ticket, get on board, enjoy the view. I'll sit next to you. We can talk about whatever. But yeah, very, very fun times here in metals. A lot to talk about with what it has done this year. And who knows where it's going. All I know is that I've enjoyed it. So that being said, thank you so much as always for watching. And please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.